Hey everyone, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 1 of the fun 4th of July series. We're going to be doing 3 projects for the 4th of July, and this is project number 1. We're going to be dot painting this super cool American Eagle onto a 10-inch wood round. And then on Thursday at 7 p.m., we're going to be putting this as a centerpiece to a big, gorgeous deco mesh bubble wreath. It's going to be a stunner. I'm really excited about it. And then on Saturday, we're going to pour some American flag themed candles. We'll do little 4-ounce mason jars. They're super cute. I'm really excited about it. I've never used them before. So lots of fun projects lined up for this week. So I hope you stick around. If you're watching this in the replay, somewhere in the future, Mary will tag those other lives up in the corner. Mary from the future, that is. Okay, now, if you want to be dotting along with me today, this image is available as a free downloadable in the description of this video. So go ahead and download that. And I highly suggest that you blow it up because I made mine. This is 110%, but I actually made it 170% because I wanted to cover a lot of my sign. I really want this to be large. So with all of this real estate in mind, I don't want to spend any time like painting the base of my wood round. I have one ready. So let's just talk a little bit about how you should prepare your background so that you can do that part at home. So basically what I did here is I picked these up from my local Dollarama. They were $4 at the time. I have no idea how much they would be now. I've had them for a while. And I painted a base coat with this folk art chalk paint. Any chalk paint that you have is always a great fit for anything wood related. Now these are super duper smooth, but if you get a wood round that's not, I highly suggest that you sand it first and then give it a coat of chalk paint. Okay, and then once that's dried, 1 coat of chalk paint will do you very well because it's nice and thick. But if you prefer, you can absolutely do 2 coats. But make sure that you varnish your base coat, okay? That's really, really important. That's the difference between a mistake staying in your project forever and you being able to wipe it up without any issue. So I like to use Liquitex matte varnish. It's just my preference. It's not the only thing in the world. By all means, use whatever varnish you want. Just make sure that you protect your base coat. Hi there, Tony, welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna move this out of here because we don't need it anymore. And we're going to pretend that I painted this live with my chalk paint and then I sealed it with varnish and I magically made it dry because I got skills, yo. Now, this guy is going to fit, like, it's going to fill up this whole thing. We are going to dot paint this, but we're going to do it strategically. So certain things we're going to paint in with just straight up paint and a paintbrush. And then other parts we're going to dot paint. So we're going to see how it goes. Okay. First things first, we need to transfer this image over onto our wood round using a chalk pencil. I like to use General's chalk pencils. I got this from Michael's Canada, but I know you can get them on Amazon as well. Any chalk pencil will do, but this just happens to be the one that I use. So I always like to show the products that I'm using because when I first started doing this, a lot of the people I was following didn't really tell you where to get things. And I was like, so where do I get that? Okay. So what we're going to do is flip this over and we are going to color with the pencil, the chalk pencil, all the way across and make sure we cover at least the outlines, like the things that we need to transfer. That's step number 1. So let's do that part first. And I'm not going to cover the entire thing because like what I just said, that's all white in the center. I don't need that part. I need the trim. So since I decided to make my background black, that means that anytime you see black in this image, we're going to have to work around it. So that means either we're going to do it in a different way. We'll like, I don't know, outline it in a different color and then fill it in black. We'll see. We'll decide as we go. But a couple of these things I think I'm going to just fill in with straight up paint and a paintbrush because I think it'll look better. It will help us not lose the image. Okay, I think we covered his little beak. So let's do the edge now. So all we're really trying to do is make sure we cover everything so that when we do that transfer, you don't miss a spot because you didn't put chalk there. It's happened to me before, and it's actually a real bummer and not easy to, at least not for me, to then realign it. Like I don't remember what project it was. I wish I could remember. I knew I was going to do that. That's so frustrating about chalk pencils, is that they break a lot when you're sharpening them. So I always try to stay with a fairly small point on my chalk pencil so that they don't break all the time. What was I saying? Yeah. Okay. So there was another project that I worked on at some point where I missed a little section. I missed drawing on it on the back with chalk. So when I then started to transfer the image onto my project, and I thought I was doing a great job transferring it, turns out that whole section didn't have any chalk. I had to then take the image, flip it over again, draw on it again with the chalk, and then try to line it up with what I had already transferred. And it was a pain in the tuchus. And I don't like having pains in my tuchus. I like to have my tuchus nice and chill, you know? Who wants a painful tuchus? Not me. So a word to the wise to always make sure you've covered it all. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've got it all. We did the glasses really well. I think we're good. Okay, I am going to cut around this because it'll make it easier for me to position it in the center of my 10-inch wood round that I'm using. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can also measure and find the center point of your image as well as the center point of your wood round and position it like that. But I enjoy the is it centered game. I play it a lot, actually. I really do enjoy it. It's fun. I also play themes like that when I'm like making candles and stuff. Like, am I going to pour to the right number or am I going to be over or under? It's like I'm playing Wheel of Fortune or something. Crafting version. I think this is going to look so cool. I just love the look of this guy. He's a badass eagle. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm going to do... Oh, you're really high up. Come down, bro. What do you think? I think that's pretty centered. I'm happy with that. The only thing I want to make sure is down here, we've got about a finger. Up there, we've got about a finger. I'm happy with that. All right, let's go ahead and transfer it over. Now, the way you're going to transfer it is by using anything you want. A pencil, a pen, a dotting tool, a toothpick, the back of a paintbrush, anything you want. I'm going to use a pen. And what we're going to do is outline everything with a certain amount of force. So once you have your image in place, you're going to try to really stick to it. We're not going to move it. Okay. So what we're going to do is just literally trace these lines. And I'm using a like medium pressure. As you can see, I'm not doing an excellent job. I'm missing lines a lot. It doesn't matter because this is just our guideline, right? This is the image that we're using. I'm going to keep it to the side for myself as a reference point, and then we're going to make it our own way anyway. So if my lines are a little janky, it's okay. We'll fix them up when we're doing it. So just to make sure that I'm not wasting time and that I actually have put a sufficient amount of chalk and a sufficient amount of pressure, let's go ahead and flip this up and check. Yeah, I wanted to make sure it's transferring over. It's transferring over very well. So let's go ahead and continue. Not moving my hand. Well, I lied. I immediately moved my hand right after that. You can move your hand. Just make sure that when you place it back that you haven't shifted your paper. That's the only thing. But like I said, if you do shift your paper and your lines end up out of whack, well, it's just going to make it a little bit harder for you when you're dotting. But it's correctable. You know what I mean? If you have a little bit of a weird line. Don't worry, we fix. We fix. But as with most things, most projects, your prep, the preparing time is sometimes more crucial than the actual execution of the project. If you don't have everything ready, then you're most likely going to end up in quite a predicament when you're trying to do the project. And you'd be surprised how many people don't prepare their stuff ahead of time and then just go, oh, I need that thing. Where am I going to go get it now? I got to run into another room. Like, guys, get it together. So what I mean by that in this regard is, varnishing your base to make sure that when you're transferring things over, you have an ability to clean up any mistakes that you make. Also, a heads up now, because I don't want to forget to say this later. Personally, I find I find chalk pencils, so chalk lines, very stubborn to remove. Oh, we're getting some good lines there. Okay, good. I find them very stubborn to remove. So I have had many really upset moments. I had to struggle really hard right there not to swear. I had some really upsetting moments where I worked really hard on a project and I just couldn't get the chalk lines off. And I was beside myself. I think I cried more than once trying to get chalk lines off. And ultimately what I've learned is, first of all, you can't cry over crafting. It's just not cool, bro. Okay. Because it's supposed to be chill. So no crying over crafting. Okay. Rule number 1. Rule number 2 is absolutely have patience when you are trying to remove your chalk lines. That is by far the best piece of advice I can give you, which is, it doesn't sound like much of a piece of advice, but trust me when I tell you that it is. Because it's the patience that's going to get you to the point where you get all of your chalk lines off. And it's really imperative that you do. Because if you decide, oh, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to leave the chalk lines there. They're annoying me, but whatever. I don't care. I'm just going to varnish this and maybe I'll take them off later. No, once you varnish something, it's permanently on there. So if you decide you want to varnish your completed project, which I highly recommend that you do, I highly recommend that you varnish any project that you work on when it's complete, but do not do that until you have removed your chalk lines. People remove chalk lines using damp Q-tips, using baby wipes. I personally like using a pencil eraser, like a straight up pencil eraser from school. I find that the best personally. It's my preference. So I take my time and I use my pencil eraser. And once I'm confident that I have all the chalk off, then I will seal my project. But sometimes when you remove your chalk lines, you find that there's little gaps in the dots that you've done because your brain might have filled in that gap with the chalk. So you might have to do a little bit of touch up and adding some additional dots when you remove your chalk lines. So I always recommend keeping your dotting tools handy while you're doing that. Okay, so we're doing really well. We're almost done. It's just these glasses now. The stars are going to be a bit of a challenge. I think I've decided I'm going to do I think I said this already, but we're talking about it. I'm going to do a combination of painting things on and dot painting a big section. What I really want to dot paint is his feathers. So the majority of this whole white section is going to be dot painted, and we're going to use some bigger dots than usual because we actually have a lot of real estate to cover, which is not always the case when we're doing this kind of, I just made that the most whack star ever. I have to fix that later. I'm pressing down too hard. It's making my hands hurt. Like I said, you just need like medium pressure. It doesn't need to be like, it's not that deep. Okay, I think we've got the vast majority done. These little stars are going to be hard to see. I'm kind of just like drawing them there just so I have like the positioning of where I want to put them, and then I'll just make a little star if I want one or not. Wow, I'm really not good at drawing stars. I'm really not, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm really not good at drawing stars. I've tried before. It's not a talent of mine. Okay, so I know we did the inner part of the lens. Let's make sure we did the outer part. This is the reason why I actually started doing this in pen. I used to do this part, this transfer part, using a dotting tool, but then you can't tell where you've already pressed. Whereas with a pen, you can see all your crazy lines. I think we're going to also paint his beak using a paintbrush. I want to do these lines with a paintbrush as well, I think, which is going to be a real challenge. I mean, actually, I could do them in dots. It would be pretty straightforward. I think once I'm done these lines, it's just the beak. And then we'll get ready to start. This is what I meant. I mean, it takes prep, right? Like you got to get ready. You got to get your image in place and do all your lines and all that stuff. And it takes a minute, and it's not the most fun part of the project, but it's incredibly necessary. I wonder what these little things underneath, I guess, to give it definition. Okay, I'm going to keep my fingers in place. We're going to lift this up and see how well we did on that transfer. Okay, we're missing stuff here and there. Like the glasses edge is missing. Okay. Then there's this. I feel like this wasn't defined enough. Okay. What else did I say? Was it here? Oh, I don't think I did this. And then maybe it's this part. Okay, let's see again. I think we're in good shape. We've got the lines. Oh, you don't want to, you know what? I might not have chalk in that spot. That might be why the line won't transfer over. I think we're okay. We got the glass rim. We got that glass rim. Lots of stars, bro. And this curve. The glasses are actually up here. That's the curve of the beak. I kind of like the idea of pretending that's part of the glasses, actually. Okay, I think we're ready to start. That turned out really well. That is a great, easy thing to follow. So we're going to keep our inspiration image nearby to help us decide how we're going to do this. Okay, since the background is black, this trim, we're just not going to fill it in, but we're going to trim it out using white. I think that's the plan. I'm going to trim all the way around it in white. And then this inner part, I think we're going to do in white dots. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to definitely start with an outline of just white all the way around this image using my paintbrush. And then we'll decide if the inner outline is going to be dotted or if it's also going to be painted. And if it is, then it is. And then we shall see. I could totally dot in here with black. It won't be visible or noticeable. I just put this in a little bit of water so I can thin out my brush a bit. All right, let's get started. I'm going to scoot you a little so I can move this around. One of the other reasons why I want to paint these lines using my paintbrush is because I suck at painting lines. So I like to practice them. I think we're going to start on the outer line. Wait, I got to think about this for a second. Hold on. Anything that's black, I need to outline in white, except for his little nosy and whatever that is. We're going to leave that black. Okay. I need to remember this because even like the glasses need to be outlined in white up until at least here. And then I don't know if I should continue. I guess I should. Okay, we'll do the glasses last. So because I suck at lines, I try to do them as often as possible. So that I can practice and get better at it. And I have gotten better at it, actually. As soon as I said that, I did a terrible line. See what happens when you're not confident? Instant slap. I think I'll go up to the top here. Oh. I've been trying to teach myself to hold my pinky down and then slide my pinky across as I'm going, which is good but bad because, you know, I'm pulling the chalk off too, right? But that's how I get these really nice lines. Because when I have my hand resting, I don't get the same lines, you know? I don't know. Do I want to put another solid line beside it, or do I want to dot that line? I think it might look cool if we dot it. And by far, the number one thing I would recommend if you're struggling with lines as well is to get yourself these long bristled brushes. It's called a liner brush. It's made for this. It's the reason why you end up with these thinner lines. but I'm still practicing keeping them really thin. It comes out cool, right? I always really struggle with it. So the number one thing I would recommend is, of course, the paintbrush, like I just said, but also to do what I'm doing. Just keep practicing. Put it in your projects, and little by little, you'll get better at it. This line is messy AF. This is taking up a lot of room and it's bothering me. Do I have another size over here? Somewhere. I have a smaller one. You know what? I'm going to pause for a second because I want to move this around and it's bugging me. Where's my scissors? Toodaloo. Thank you. But that thing is monstrously large. So we'll just use this little guy. This is going to help us with all the detail and definition so that if we're confused by the chalk lines, which I often am, I'll have an image to refer to. Much better. Scoot. There we go. I feel better now. I was so bothered I was off to the side. Okay, let me get my paintbrush back. Okay, today we're using acrylic paint from the dollar store as well. I don't use fancy paint. I'm not a fancy gal. I always use craft paint from the dollar store and it works perfectly fine. I like that these lines are not perfect. Not the ones I'm painting, but like the actual jaggedy edge of his feathers. I just realized I just said something incredibly sexist and patriarchal. I don't actually know the difference between a male eagle and a female eagle. I don't know if they look the same. So I don't know if this is male or female. I don't know crap about eagles. I really don't. Okay. You know, I'm realizing now as I'm almost done outlining this that I probably should have done this last instead of first. It would make it easier to do the inside, you know? But I like a challenge. I'll take it. Okay, I'm going to go all the way up to the edge of the glasses. If you don't hesitate, it goes pretty well. Is there anything I need to fix? I feel like you need a little. Okay. Yeah, probably would have been a better idea to do this part last. So, you know, to make it easier to rest my hand when we're painting the center, but c'est la vie. Having said that, let's be real. This is a really thin line that we're putting here. It's probably already dry over there. I'm not going to test it though, because I don't want to mess it up if I'm wrong. But it won't take long for it to dry. So nothing to worry about. Awesome. All right. Outline of the outside's done. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to line the inside with paint as well, or are we going to dot it? I think I'm going to line it. I feel like it would be more impactful. And then we're going to line the outside of the beak as well, because I don't want the beak to not be outlined. I think it needs it. Because remember, we're reversing everything. So the black outline is going to actually be white because our black background's there. So I think I am going to also do the inner with a paintbrush, and then we'll start dotting everything in after. Okay, let's do that. Decision has been made. I'm basically just going to start exactly from where I started before. You'll notice that I rarely will start any project. Actually, let me point this out because it's a good thing to notice. I will rarely start any project in the center. It's very rare. And the reason for that is most times it takes you a little bit, a couple of seconds, a couple of dots, a little bit of a swoosh, whatever, to kind of get yourself settled. And I don't want that to be in the center of my image. So I always try to start off to the edge so that if it is a little bit of a messy line or something or a wonky dot, you won't notice it. Plus, it's fun. I enjoy this. I enjoy dot painting, but I really enjoy using this liner brush. It's very satisfying. And I'll tell you something, I've owned this liner brush for a long time, but I never used it because I was scared of it. These bristles are long. They're very intimidating. I really didn't think I'd be able to master it, and it's actually much more forgiving than you think. And it makes me remind myself when you're intimidated by something, it's only because you've never done it before. Once you've done it a few times, you won't be intimidated anymore, and you're going to probably love what it's going to do for you, which is literally exactly what happened with this. I don't want any side to be too thin. But it does tend to thin out near the end of the line. That was thicker than I would have liked. My paint's getting a little crusty because it's starting to dry. It's been sitting in the palette for a while. Okay. I think I might stir this a little bit. It's bothering me. It is bugging me. What do I have to stir it with? Do I have any popsicle stick? Popsicle stick. I have this little thing. You know what? You just might need some more paint. That's all. I just don't want to fill any more in if I don't need it. When you're dot painting, you don't really need a lot of paint. So if you put a lot in your palette, you're just asking for it to get like crusty. That one came out horrible. I think this is going to look so cool on a wreath. I'm really excited about it. I actually really enjoy making the decorative signs for my wreaths. I've done it many times in this last year. Ever since I started doing live streams, I do it quite a lot, actually. And I just love the way it turns out. I did this one for Easter. Very similar idea. Totally different subject matter. So for that one, it was an image of Jesus rising. And I dot painted him rising from the dead. And then the deco mesh wreath I made later in the week, and I used that in the center, and it came out so good. If you're watching this in the replay, Mary from the future will put that video up in the corner if you want to see it. It was so much fun. Actually, I'm going to have to put them side by side in the replay so you can see the actual dot painting and the wreath as well. So those will probably be back to back in the front there or in the corner. All right. We've got your outline done. Let's do your head. So am I sure I want to outline the glasses in white? Yes, I am. I keep debating it because it feels unnatural, but you see how now it looks like that's black, right? Like the outline really makes it obvi. Let's do this line first. Okay. Now we'll fix it. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. Okay, I'm happy with that. If I don't like it, I can fix it later. My liner brush is a little curved right now. I've never seen that before. I'll show you what I mean. See, it's kind of curved. I was like, I don't know why. Probably because I've been using it in that direction a lot tonight. Okay. Actually, I'm going to clean off my brush a bit. Okay. That one's crooked. There we go. All right. Let's see what we got. We're in good shape here. Now, we're going to decide how to deal with these glasses. I think what I'm going to do, because the inner part with the stars is blue. The stars are not going to be easy to dot paint, so we're going to actually make them with our paintbrush. So we're going to do, we'll paint those in. Around them is going to be blue dots. Yeah, I got to do this trim in white. There's no other way to be able to see it as black, right? Okay. I'm going to keep saying this to myself over and over again. I need a little bit more paint. Oh, I thought I was going to knock something over into my project and I would have been so upset. Would not be the first time, I'll tell you that. I've done it more than once. Okay, so let's go around the bottom of these glasses next. I think it's important to try to get your lines as clean as possible, but at the same time, I'm probably going to have to do them again later anyway, so there is a certain level of chill, bro. Because I might dot over it a little bit or something. So we'll likely come back over it again later. I got to be careful here. Man, I keep having a spaz right there. Okay. I made that line too thick now. Oh, well. We'll just have to live with it. What's next? Shall we do this little pocket over here? Around the nose? Or the beak, rather. We'll go back and fix that later. Okay, so let's do his little beak. That's basically what that line was. So now this needs to go Okay. Not bad. That's better. Okay, let's do this one too. I can see that I've gotten a little, I've strayed a bit. So this guy's close and that guy's far. So I'm going to actually put this one up a little higher just to mimic a bit. That line is so crooked, by the way. I'll go fix it in a second. It's coming out a little crooked. There we go. And that's black there too. So we'll outline you in white. Okay. I just had a complete spaz. I mean, that's so thick. Oh, that's a bummer. Well, since I can't thin it out because I've already made it thick, I'll make that touch like the other one is. I'm going to have to thicken that one up a little bit so that they're even. Or else he's going to have an uneven little beak. There we go. Next, actually, I wasn't intending to dot paint the beak, but I think I might. Man, did that come out funky too. All right. What are we left with? We got to trim out the glass. And I don't know how I'm going to handle the little nostrils. I think I'm going to have to do them in white. Okay, we'll think about that after. Let's do, I'm going to do the outline of the lenses of the glasses, I think. That's what we'll do next. I'll start on this one. This is going to be a challenge over here. Not bad. Not a girl. Trying to keep a steady hand to keep like a smooth line, and it is not easy. It's exactly why I'm doing this. I suck at it. So the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. And I can tell you already, I'm better than I was, but it's still a challenge. I couldn't have done these lines a month ago. It's always important to celebrate when you manage to accomplish something that you've been trying, you know? I'm still not great, but I went from trash to not so trash. So I'll take it. I'm going to put my finger now. Let's go back here. Okay, let's do that from here. All right, we did it. We did it. All right, now we need to decide. Okay, so these stars are white. And I believe they are white on the American flag as well. Even though my heart wants to make them yellow, but I think they're supposed to be white. So I'm going to leave them white. And if I'm wrong, well, I just had a sip of water and hopefully I'm right. Okay, so let's see. What are we going to do next? Let's do the stars, I guess, because they're going to be the most difficult. Then we'll do the little nostrils. We got to decide what we're going to do about the lines. I think I want to do them dotted, but maybe not all of them. Maybe I'll do the white in line, like with a paintbrush, and then we'll do the red in dots. That might look cool. Or will that look stupid? Oh, geez, I hate making these decisions. Okay, let's focus on the stars for now. We won't worry about that. Wow, this is coming out so horribly. I don't even know what to say. I almost want to make it bigger just to kind of fix it. That's terrible. All right, let's ignore it. Well, this one came out better. That one in the top corner, I don't know, bro. I'm gonna have to try to fix it somehow. I got so frustrated with it, I had to walk away. I'll go deal with it after. I'm gonna have to go back and fill these in again later. Even this one came out wonky. What the? Maybe I won't do that many stars. I don't seem to be very good at it. I actually knew that, honestly. I don't even know if I said it at the beginning, but I think I might have. I've never been good at doing stars. It's just not a skill. I'm not good at the star skills. Like, what's this little fin? It's not too bad. This one I'm scared about. We'll start off with it just being really small. I really suck at this. Worst stars ever. Oh, well, what are you going to do? You can't be great at everything. This is why we practice. Apparently, I also, outside of having to practice my lines, I also need to practice my stars. It's wowzers. It's painful. It's very painful. I'm going to do at least one more over here, and I might just stop right there because this is ouch. Get another messy, ugly star that we'll have to fix. Wow, Mary. I made this one round somehow. Oh, I made it worse. Good, 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 good. Let's make it bigger. I guess they're going to touch each other. I just completely changed how this star was going to appear. Yeah, that's warped. Okay, we need a small one down here. And then that should be enough. It's enough pain for one day. How am I going to do this? This way? This way. Down. Down. And then it's supposed to go like that and like that. Yeah, terrible. Just a terrible job. Wow. Wow, that's painful. Let's see if I can fix it somehow. It's painful. We're going to leave it at that. That's enough, right? I don't need to put another one here, do I? I mean, I can't do it, guys. It's too much. You're asking too much of me. I'm just going to fill it in with blue and that'll be okay. Let's do his little nostrils. And then we're going to start. I really can't decide if I want to do that in dots or in lines, like filled in or not. I'm going to leave that till the end and then decide because I just can't. I feel like that one's bigger. Oh, well. Okay. I think we are in good shape here. I think what I'm going to do, let's decide. What are we going to do next? So we could start filling in the feathers, which we're going to do with dots, right? We could fill in the nose, which I was going to do it with just paint, but I think I'm going to do it in dots as well. Because I think it's outlined enough, the beak, that you can tell what it is. And we can do the top. Maybe we'll do that, and then we'll come back to this guy later because I just can't decide. And then in here, I'm going to not do any more of these stars because I suck at it. And we're just going to dot paint some blue in there. So I think we're ready to get started with some dotting. So let's get some white paint ready. We're going to start with the top, I think. Okay, so today we're going to be using some dotting tools. Now, if you don't have dotting tools at home, you can use things from around your house. I highly recommend checking your junk drawer. Pens and pencils work very well. There's usually round sides. Bottoms of paintbrushes come in a variety of sizes, so you can get, you know, thicker, thinner dots, bigger, smaller. Toothpicks are excellent for a lot of detail. I use shish kebab skewers. I have used glue sticks like this one for bigger dots. So have a look around your house. You'll be shocked at how many things you can make a dot out of. But I'm going to actually be using my dotting tools today. And I think we're going to do some big dots. And then we're going to come back and do these little ones. So I'm going to take out my rod set, which is not something I do very often. I usually use my styluses the most. I got these from a company called on Etsy. I think she also has some stuff on Amazon. A lovely woman. I think she's out of the UK. I also get my art stone molds from her. So check them out. Happy Dotting Company. What number do I want to use? 4. I think I want to do a 5. No, you're too big. You're too big. You're too big. Here, 5.5 is good. 5.5. Oh, that's going to be big, actually. Let's go down to the 5. Where art thou? There you are. Okay, merci. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this section and this section around the beak in white to mimic the feathers on our American eagle. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to do a wide pattern, almost like walking the dots. And if you're familiar with walking the dots, that means you're going to put paint on your dotting tool, and you're not going to refill your paint between each dot like we normally do. Instead, you're going to put paint on your dotting tool, and then you're going to dot several dots in a row. They'll get smaller and smaller as you have less and less paint on your dotting tool. Normally, we would do this in like a straight line or perhaps in a curve to, make a pattern called walking the dots. But today we're going to be doing it in kind of like a cross formation, where we're just going to try to put as many dots around as we can. Now, when you're working with a dotting tool like this one, which is a rod, it's flat at the bottom, which means you have to be very aware of how you place your dot down when you're using a flat-bottomed piece of material for your tool. So example, do you see how that one dot is not really round? It's because when I got to not having enough paint on my dotting tool, it makes it wonky because it's flat on the bottom. A rounded tool wouldn't do that. Not really. Occasionally it'll happen, but you'd have to be down to like next to nothing paint. Let's cover that. So all we're doing is putting some big dots around. We're going to spread them around, and then we'll come back and do another pass, and we'll use a smaller dotting tool and put smaller dots in place. But for now, remember, when you're dotting with a rod like this, you're going to be dotting straight up and down. Notice I'm holding my dotting tool straight instead of coming from an angle like this. I'm going straight up and down like that. Very important for if you have a flat bottomed dotting tool like this one. Keep an eye on your dots, especially when you're making bigger dots like this one. There is a possibility that you'll see some bubbles pop up in your paint. If you do, grab yourself a toothpick or a sharp anything and pop them bubbles. Don't let the bubbles pop on their own. They will mess up your image, trust me. Okay, I think we're good with big dots in here. Maybe one more up there. No, that was a bad one. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. Let's go and do the top of his head now. Don't worry. I know it's looking a little funny right now, but we're going to do so many passes of dots over this that black background is going to fade, and you're going to just notice the white feathers in front that are made out of dots. Dot feathers, if you will. All right, we got room for one more. Nice big guy. Okay, we're going to let those dry for a wee minute. And let's move on to what do we want to do next. Let's do the beak next. Now, for the beak, what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom color, because I don't have that kind of mustardy kind of yellow. I only have this hella bright yellow. They should have called it hella bright yellow, because it is hella bright, okay? but I also have this cashmere tan, and I think together we should get to that. So that's my hope. So let's scoot you off to the side for a moment. I'm going to take a paint pot. I get these from my dollar store. Highly recommend. Super useful if you're doing something like this where you need to make yourself a custom color. So we're going to start with yellow. Okay, I think some chunks might have got in there, but we'll see. And then we're going to add some of this in here. This is called Cashmere Tan, and it's a brand called Acrylic. This is from Dollar Tree. The other brand that I always use, this Deco Art, is from Dollarama. That's all that they sell, and this is all that Dollar Tree sells in Canada. So give this a quick stir. Now, anytime you are stirring your paint, you want to make sure that you stir nice and slow. I'm stirring hella fast right now. This is not nice and slow, but I always stir fast and I just live with the bubbles. But I highly recommend you be smarter than me and stir more slowly, because if you stir quickly, you're introducing air, which equals bubbles. What's wrong? Okay. I think this is okay. That's a little bit more orange than this, right? This is more mustard. Should I put orange in it? I don't have any orange handy with me. It's somewhere in the other room. So we're not going to be putting any orange because we don't have any to put. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more yellow. Should we put some white into it? I think this should be fine. I just didn't want it to be like sunshine yellow. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a chunk of paint in here. Oh, wow. Okay, this will do. We've got our custom yellow-brown beak color. So let's get started on that. You come back. Baby, come back. I see I have made some splatters throughout my picture here. If they bug me, I'll remove them later. Let's see if I can remove them now, actually, because they do bug me. So you notice that it's easy to come off, and that's because of the varnish that I used to cover it. And you'll also notice that even though I'm like scraping it, there's no black on my Q-tip, and that's because of the varnish. So I know it sounds like I'm getting a commission from us telling you to use varnish, but I assure you I'm not. And also it's for your own good, okay? Because look. All right, let's go ahead and dot inside of the beak. I'm going to do a few of these bigger ones, but we'll move down to the 4.5. I'm not going to do a lot, though. We'll probably use smaller, our dotting rod more so. That's a nice mustard. That was really close. I almost dotted all over my line, which does happen from time to time, and then you just got to fix it. I'm not confident that I can fit a big dot anywhere else there, so I'm going to consider this done. This size tool. We'll come back with a smaller tool. Actually, I'm going to do it right now. That's not very full, so I can do it. But before I do, I am going to pop some bubbles that I can see. See, this is what happens when you're impatient, when you're stirring. Then you got to pay the consequence. The impatience tax. All right, we're going to be using my 3mm stylus. This is the largest size dot you can make with these stylus rods. And we are going to start filling things in. A little bit at a time. If you're unsure if you can fit a dot, then don't try. Which I know is the opposite of every kind of like slogan you ever hear. Just try, it'll be fun. No, don't try. Don't try. If you don't think you can make it, don't do it. Okay, we have a problem here. Do you see those two dots that I just put? They are so close that they can merge into what I call a blob dot, and it looks like a football. It ends up an oval dot. I am looking at these dots right now, and I think I might have been spared because I feel like they would have already joined together if they were going to. So this paint might be good enough that it's not going to blend it. But I'm going to keep my eye on it because while it's still wet, I can try to get it out. But if not, because it's in an obvious place or else I wouldn't really bother. Okay, I'm going to leave the beak alone for a bit. We're going to let that dry. Let's move on to the glasses for a second. And then we'll come back and do another round on the flap. What do they call them? The feathers. Actually, let me have a quick sip of water because she's a parched girl. All right. I'm going to be using my favorite blue. It's called Peacock Blue. We're not going to need a whole lot of this. Okay. Now for this one, we're working around all of these stars. So I got to have a little bit more patience. And we're going to start with a much smaller dot. This 3mm is going to be way too big. So I'm going to go down. Do you know I'm missing one? No, it's right here. My 1mm to a 2mm. Okay. Oh, blue, Mary, blue. We're doing the exact same thing. Put a dot where you can fit a dot, basically. Now, in this case, we're doing something a little bit unusual, which is I'm covering up the outlines of these stars because I'm not filling in those stars. After I'm done this, I'm going to let this sign dry for at least a day. Overnight is fine. 12 hours is no biggie. That's good. So tomorrow morning, there's a chunk in my paint. That would have been bad. Is there a chunk in here at all? I gotta keep an eye on that. I have a new paint bottle for this color, but I thought I would use this one tonight, and now the regret is instant. Okay, what was I saying? So we're just going to fill in blue anywhere we can put a dot. And then we'll let it dry and come back and put more dots. And then tomorrow, that's what I was saying. Tomorrow morning, once they are really, really dry, I'm going to come back with my eraser and start erasing all of these chalk lines from everywhere. I'm going to take my time and be really patient. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now because I'm not confident for another dot. So we'll stop there. Let's go back to white for a bit. So this is what we're going to keep doing. We're going to keep doing one pass after another. We'll go smaller and smaller dots as we go until we've filled in exactly what we want to see filled. which is the feathers. This is a great way to practice a number of important dot painting skills. So number one is spacing. No one can teach you spacing. That is truly just a level of perception that you build as you keep going. It's like driving a car. No one can tell you if you're in the center of the lane or how to figure out that you're in the center and feel comfortable there. It's only until your eyes and your brain associate them together when you're in that driver's seat and you're like, oh, I'm in the center of the lane now. This is what it looks like. You got to build that muscle on your own. No one can make it for you. And that's the same kind of idea when it comes to dot painting. You need to figure out spacing by yourself. No one can really teach you that. They're just going to say practice, which of course, hi, thanks, no kidding. You got to practice anything. But it's truly just, you got to keep trying it. No, there's no shortcut here. I have a bubble. Bubble, 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 bubble. Bubble, 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 bubble. All right. What a strange comparison. I make comparisons to the weirdest things. Driving and dot painting. Sure, that's not even slightly the same. Oh, Mary. I'm cute, just so you guys know. In case I know you can't see me right now, but super cute over here. All right. I am not confident I can fit any other dots of this size in here. So we're going to go ahead and move to the next section, which is going to be down here. Now, do you see the difference between up here where we've done 2 passes and down here where we only did the 1 pass so far? Big difference, right? So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep building that. Starting with a lot of paint on my dotting tool so that I can get the biggest dot possible with this dotting tool. Another great way to practice spacing is by outlining things by dot painting. So instead of painting these outlines that we did today, you could dot paint them. And that is definitely a way to practice your spacing, because outlining an image is both satisfying and it can be really easy to get your dots to run into each other, because you get into this like routine of going dot, 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 dot. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, those 2 touched. That's not good. And it's all a matter of teaching yourself when to stop. I have a noticeable. So much easier to get them off when they're wet. Ooh, 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 ooh. See, still no black coming off. That varnish, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you. And it's, again, one of those things that when I first started dot painting, I don't know if maybe I didn't happen to come across a video of one of the artists I was following and they talked about it and I just missed it. I don't know. But back when I started learning dot painting, it was a long time ago. How long ago was it? Let's see. It's 2026 right now. It was definitely before the pandemic. I was already dot painting before that started. So I would say I've probably been dot painting for about 8 years, maybe longer now. I really enjoy it. It's really relaxing, helpful with your mental health. You can make really beautiful things without having a lot of skill or creative talent in terms of being able to draw or freehand paint or anything. something I've always loved about dot painting. But anyway, what I was saying was when I first started learning how to dot paint and I would, watch people on YouTube to learn how to do it, I don't remember them ever really saying to protect your base coat in varnish to help avoid problems like that. They must have said it and I missed it. But because I missed it and I had to figure it out on my own, it feels like a very hard won lesson. So because of that, I try to always share it as much as possible so that other people who are new to dot painting don't feel as intimidated by it as I did in that moment. You know what? This paint's getting a little bit grisky. That's why I always tell you where I buy things from. If I can remember or estimate how much they cost. Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but when I place my dotting tool down on this piece of wood, it makes a little tick, tick, tap. Tell me if you can hear it. I obviously exaggerated it a little bit that time, but there's a reason I'm pointing that out. Hold on. I just noticed a white dot in here. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to erase that white dot that's in there. I don't know if you can tell that that's white, but there's a little white dot beside these mustard ones. I'm just going to cover it with a mustard dot later. Instead of trying to wipe that off with a Q-tip and possibly causing more damage to my image, I'll just fill it in after. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the noise. Something that a lot of dot painters that I used to watch, because I don't really watch them anymore. Now I just kind of make my own stuff. But when I was learning, they would talk a lot about just kissing the surface of your project with your dotting tool to get the paint to kind of like just lay itself. That was so graceful. And I'm just like, why, guys? Why do you have to hover your dotting tool? Why can't you just tap the, I don't understand. So maybe if you are a really well-seasoned and experienced dot painter and you know the answer to that and you want to share it in the comments, I'd love to hear it. But personally, I think it's a whole bunch of nonsense. And if I think something's nonsense, then generally speaking, I just don't do it. So that's why you can hear me touching the base of my project with my dotting tool. I don't particularly care if the paint touches it perfectly. It just seems like a lot of, what did I say about nonsense? Yeah, we don't deal with nonsense. So we're just going to do it our way. So if you are looking to figure out how to let your paint kiss the surface so that you're not touching your dotting tool on it, sorry, I don't have any tips for that. Because what did I say? I think it's nonsense. That's why. Okay, we are reaching the point where this dotting tool is too big for what we want to do. So we're almost done. And it'll be time to switch down a size. Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay, let's move on to the beak. And then we'll hit the glasses again. I need a little sip of water. I am all of a sudden super parched. Because I do a heck of a lot of talking. Literally always, but especially during a live stream. If you're wondering what these little dots that I'm wiping off are, they're splatter. When I'm moving from the paint palette to the project, I end up with a little sprinkle of paint, and that's what causes that. So you can absolutely take your time. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. I always try to mention it early in my live streams, is that as I mentioned, I've been dot painting for many years. Because of that, I dot fast. If you're a new dot painter, you should not be painting as fast as I am today. This is fast. You should be taking your time, taking a deep breath between each dot. It's not a race. I just sized down to my 2.0 stylus. And we're going to go in with these smaller dots now. I cover that dot that I complained about earlier. Man, does this paint have bubbles though? I definitely stirred that like a psycho. I was just like, stir it! Put the bubbles in there. So many bubbles. Okay. I'm not confident that I can fit any more dots of this size, so I'm going to stop there. And we're going to do some pippity poppin' because bubbles. You want to try to pop them before the paint itself starts to dry, because what could potentially happen is as it's drying, the bubble will pop, and then it'll stay in your dot with a popped bubble dot, and it's annoying is the word I'll use. All right, let's do a little bit more of the eye. We're going to fill in a few more dots. Now for this one, we're going to go down to a really small dotting tool. I'm going to go down to, actually, I'm going to use the opposite end. Now, all of these dotting tools are different sizes. Let's have a quick look at these real fast. All of these dotting tools are different sizes on the bottom. They're all different size balls here, okay? But the top ones are all the same, which I believe is a 1.25 millimeter. Why? I don't know why I think that, but I do. So I'm going to use the top, and we're going to try to fill in. Oh, no, you know what? I can already tell it's too big. So change my mind. We'll flip back to the 1 millimeter side, which is pretty small. We're going to put in some really small dots. Now, you probably won't even be able to see these on the screen, and I apologize. But basically just fill in your stuff. You know what I mean? If you see a spot that is black and you could put a blue dot on it, that's what you should be doing. And you want to try not to dot over another one if you can avoid it. We're already at the point where I can't use this tool anymore. I'm going to have to flip it over. Oh, no, this is the one side. I'll have to move down to my smallest dotting tool next to fill in a few more spots. This one's a bit more of a challenge because these stars that I chose not to fill in and that I'm covering up with dots, they are visually distracting to me. So I have a hard time realizing, oh no, I have to put a dot there or you're going to see that. Like right there. Okay, we're going to pause there. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a look where we're at right now. Okay, we're doing pretty good. So in terms of the glasses, I have not yet decided what I'm going to do. If I'm going to paint that in solid or if I'm going to dot it. I kind of feel like I might paint it in solid. I was originally going to do that with the beak and I decided to dot paint it. So that changes how it looks, right? Yeah, interesting. So wait, now that I'm looking at this, this is the glasses. That's the fur. So that's supposed to be white. And then what's this? That's the top of the beak. Oh, is that supposed to be like the trim of the beak? I honestly don't know what that is. I think I have to fill this little line in yellow and that one on top is white. Yeah, I think so. Okay, we'll do that after. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. We're going to do pass number 3 for the white dots now. I'm kind of regretting not painting the beak now. I almost want to paint over my dots, but I'm not going to do that to myself. There's no need to second guess. It will look just lovely when we're done. Don't worry. A little bit more white paint on top just because it's getting crustier as we go. I'm going to go ahead and do the 1.25 dot on this round for these ones so that we can get into some of these nooks and crannies. I can already tell that's too big, so I'm going to switch back to the 1 millimeter. In some cases, I have some gaps I can put bigger ones in, but I don't want to do that right now. So now you can see with these little dots that we're putting in, we're really filling in that blanket of white, you know? We want to crowd them together nice and close without touching them, which is another great way to practice this, especially when you're dotting close to already dry dots. It kind of relieves that initial of, oh no, I don't want it to turn into a blob dot. It won't. But it also helps you practice that. Oh, do I have enough room there? Oh, I don't. And I overlapped a dot. It's not a big deal because it's dry. So a great way to practice. And the more we fill this in, the more it's going to it's going to give that optical illusion that the whole thing is filled in white when really it's not. It's just dot painted. Kind of like pointillism, which I guess this is. I don't know, but I do think so. Oh, I didn't think I'd be able to fit one there, but I snuck it in. So now that we're almost halfway across this top of his head, when we get to the halfway point, I'm going to flip this around and I want us to have a look at it together so you can get what I mean and why we do so many passes. Okay, we're about halfway. Let's flip this around now. Let's have a quick look. Do you see the difference between this half of the top and that half? That's the difference. Now it's starting to look almost like solid white, right? Because we're filling it in with these little dots. A bit of patience, but honestly, I really find this kind of fun. Obviously, I wouldn't do this all the time if I didn't find it fun. But the reason I really find this fun is because it's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like a game. Trying to see if you can fit it. And if you can't fit it, then you got to do something else. And it's a good time. A good time is had by all. Now I'm just getting some of this chalk off of here. Okay. I am struggling a little bit with my allergies tonight. And I really need to blow my nose. So I'm going to save us all the horror, and I'm going to mute myself for a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Thank you. Appreciate you. That wasn't so bad. I'm quick like a bunny. Yes, I am. All right. I'm going to turn this back, and we're going to continue filling in the top. We will do a fourth pass, but it'll be minimal because at this point we are really, really filling in all of those little spots. It's unlikely that we'll find any more later. But sometimes. The reason why we start off with these really big dots is because look at the texture that it's now giving us. Those big, big dots beside these little teeny tiny ones. And then there's medium ones, and they're all scattered around, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it just looks beautiful. I got close to dotting over my line, which is fine, especially because they're the same color, not a problem. But also, if you accidentally dot paint over one of your painted on lines, then just, paint over it again. It's not the end of the world. I try really hard not to stress over mistakes when I'm dot painting. It's not that deep, Life's hard. There are so many other decisions to stress over. And trust me, but dot painting's not one of them. I will say that when I first started, it was a little bit more so for me. I used to get really freaked out about doing it properly and doing it right. And eventually I reached the point where I was comfortable with what I was doing, and then I stopped caring. It's kind of like, I don't know why we're doing this twice today, but it's kind of like driving. Once again, comparing dot painting to driving today for some reason. But again, it is kind of like driving. When you learn how to drive, whoever's teaching you should be showing you to, have your hands in a certain position, to keep your mirrors a certain way. And this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. And it's by the book, and it's by the law. And that's all good. You should learn it that way. Learn it properly. And then do it however the hell you want. I remember a friend of mine said that to me when I was learning how to drive. Just learn the way they teach you. And then once you have your license, do whatever the hell you want. So now I drive on 2 wheels whenever possible because I'm fiery. I am a fiery lady. 4 wheels? Meh. I'm going to turn this corner on 2. That's right. I said it. Okay. I feel like you're done. I keep wanting to put more dots, which is a mistake. So we're going to move on. Yeah, look at that. That really makes such a huge difference, doesn't it? Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing down here. And I'm going to try to go from one end to the other because it is easier to remember what you've done and not done. And this is when we're going to get into these little nooks and crannies as well, now that we have the smaller dotting tool. some little teeny tiny spots in here, boy. Sometimes I wonder, I think I can fit the dot, and I usually can, but I struggle because of my eyesight. Like, it's not that my eyesight's horrible. I'm wearing glasses right now, but I need to buy those magnifying glasses that dentists use. I'll never. I went to my dentist a few months ago, and she was wearing it while she was doing something to my face. I don't remember what it was, cavity or something. I don't know. And she had these glasses where they were magnifying glasses. Okay, not so fancy, but they were designed to curve down. So you don't have to be hunched over with your head this way. You're looking straight ahead, but you can see downwards. And I was like, girl, where did you get those? And she was like, what? Who gets excited about things like that? Oh, a dot painter does. That's who. So she told me what they were called. I can't remember now. And I looked them up on Amazon, and I think you can get them for anywhere between 20 and 50 bucks. But I haven't done it yet, which I probably should, because you know what happens every night when you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning? Oh, yeah, you wake up a day older. That's what happens. So it's not like I'm going to wake up tomorrow. My eyesight's going to be better. It'll probably be worse. Oh, well. Now, something to make note of, especially if you're new to dot painting, is the size that you are making your dot is dependent on a few different things. Okay, so number one, it depends on the size of dotting tool you're using. The bigger your dotting tool, the bigger your dot. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Everybody tends to know that. The other thing that really impacts the size of your dot is the amount of paint you have on your dotting tool when you're about to lay your dot down. So once you start dot painting in a section, you're not going to have any paint on your dotting tool other than the fresh paint that you put on it once you dip your dotting tool into the paint pool. But as time goes on, a little bit of paint stays behind on your dotting tool, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And that first dot, after you fill your dotting tool with paint, is going to actually be bigger than the original first dot because it did not have paint piled up. See how there's paint piled up on my dotting tool? If I were to dot right now, that dot will be bigger than this one now that it's noticing that your dots are getting bigger as you continue to dot. Clean your dotting tool off and see if that makes a difference to you. Other thing that can impact the size of your dots is how much of your dotting tool is touching the project. So the more surface area that is touching your project, the bigger your dot will be. That's why a dotting tool that has a larger surface makes a bigger dot. I know that sounds kind of like, yeah, duh, water's wet, sky's blue, thanks, Mary. But truly, it is one of those things that you don't really think about unless you're struggling with the size of your dots. Okay. We're doing pretty well. I saw a gap over here. Where? There? Oh, I saw that. Q-tips boy, oh boy, do I use a lot of Q-tips. They're not just for makeup and cleaning your ears, boys and girls. Actually, you're not supposed to clean your ears with Q-tips. But I can't live it. I can't live like that. Feels gross. Guys, what should I do about this glasses thing? Should I do each row in dots, alternating red and white? Or should I draw it with a paintbrush? I think I should do it solid with a paintbrush. That's where I'm leaning right now. We're doing pretty good over here. My hand's getting a little numb. But you can really see that difference, can't you? We're right at the middle now. You know, I kind of feel like this here, these two black lines that are not supposed to be black, they're supposed to be yellow like that. I think I might fill those in solid for the beak. I think that would help define a little bit more. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to turn you a bit. Let's meet in the middle, shall we? I'm gonna have to paint over these stars again. You can see the black kind of peeking through a little bit. I knew I would have to, but I wanted to wait until the end because there's always the potential that I might accidentally dot a blue dot over something that I shouldn't. So we'll do that near the end. We're coming up on that time now. That's why I keep talking about little finishing touches, because we're getting there, you know? Like once we're finished this is pass 3, I think. Then I'm going to take out my tiniest little dotting tool, which would be the equivalent of like a toothpick if you're using household items for dotting tonight. And then we'll go around and just do a few little bippity bops of little ones and spots that I was too uncomfortable to dot earlier. Because remember, what did I say? If you're not sure if you can fit a dot somewhere, then don't put a dot there at all. Just leave the spot, leave it open, because in one of the other passes, you'll see that that gap is there, and you'll know that now you have the right size dotting tool to fill that in without having to worry that you're going to mess something up. I see some more splatters here. Let's get them dealt with. Give my fingers a bit of a break. Okay. I always try to make sure that your hands are clean. I have done it. I have absolutely done it before, where I was cleaning off my dotting tool and all was good. And then I put my hands on my project and boopity boppity boop. What happened? Nothing I want to talk about. Paint in places it shouldn't have been. So try to always be aware of the state of your hands. So now in each of these little peaks, I have been walking the dots into the corner because it looks good. I don't think I've actually shown walking the dots today. So let's take a quick second as we get close to this peak to do it. Okay, so walking the dots is when you fill your dotting tool with some paint, and then you don't fill it again between each dot that you place. So we're going to place about 4 or 5 dots now. We'll start at this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're getting smaller and smaller as I'm running out of paint on my dotting tool. That's walking the dots. You don't refill your paint. You leave your paint. You let it dwindle out to smaller and smaller dots. It's a really great way, a simple beginner-friendly way to create a pattern without a lot of effort. We're getting closer. Okay. I'd say this is our last little peak right here that we haven't filled in yet. Oh, I almost double dotted, which would have turned into a blob dot, which would have been very upsetting on the very last spot. Kind of typical of me, though. Okay, let's see. What do you think? That made a big difference, didn't it? Like a huge difference. Now you can see, you can really see the eagle now. Man, all these little splatters of paint, so annoying. All right. Okay, I don't think I can fill in any more blue, but I will try. Now, I have to decide what I'm going to do about this. So this spot's supposed to be white, and then this spot's what, black? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think I shouldn't have made that so thick. What do I do? So should I fill that in with straight white, or should I dot it? Let's start by dotting it and see if I like it. If I don't, I'll fill it in with white. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't need to fill it in. Okay, now in here, I am going to fill in using this mustard. Plus, we're not done the beak. I feel I have more dots that I can fit in there. So we'll do the beak next, and then we'll fill in the bottom part. So many bubbles in there. Okay, I'm going to turn this upside down. So I'm using the 1 millimeter, which is pretty small. We'll see how we do. Yeah, I think that's good. I almost dotted on my line. Which, like I said, can be corrected. I just don't want to have to. I'm lazy. I'm going to need to use my smaller dotting tool in here, I think. Yeah, I'm not trusting that I can do any more in here. So I'm going to flip to my my smallest dotting tool, which is the 0.8 millimeter. It's almost like a straight stick. I would compare this to a toothpick. So no matter how much paint you put on it, there's only so much it's going to do. Get up into the corner here. Okay. I feel like we have filled this in as much as we can, except for right down here. I can fit a couple more in here. Okay. I don't want to go any further. I'll start making regretful decisions. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in these two sections. I'm torn. Should I fill it in with paint or should I fill it in with dots? Okay, since I can always paint over dots, I can't dot over paint and make it noticeable. I'm going to fill it in with dots first, and then if I hate it, we'll paint it. What do you think? Should I fill it in? The thing is, if I do it, I can't undo it. I kind of do want to fill it in with like a paintbrush. What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat. Should I leave these dotted in or should I fill it in with a paintbrush? I feel like the paintbrush will give it a lot of contrast. Oh, I hope I don't regret this. Do I like it or not like it? Well, first of all, I hate this paintbrush I'm using, so that's a definite not happening. Let's take my other one out that I like. Because it's still wet, I can still pick it up with my Q-tip if I need to. Do we like it filled in? I think I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to leave it. I hope I don't regret it later. Okay, we're going to do the other side. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was a good idea. Well, that's good because you really can't tell while you're doing it. I'll tell you that. Okay. I am going to, I think we're going to start doing the lines in there. Actually, let me start by fixing these stars. Oh, oh my gosh, I almost dripped water on my thing. I would have been so unimpressed with myself. I need to fix my paint rag. We start putting paint on things that I don't want. Clean hands? Yes, girl. All right, I don't think I'm going to need you anymore. So, merci. Let's go ahead and I'm going to actually start up a new bit of white because that's been sitting out for a while and it's definitely going to have a skin and be nasty. And I don't need that much of it. So let's get this going. Another little sip of water. So what we're going to do here is white line, red line, white line, red line. So white lines on top. However, I'm not going to do that because of the outline that I used in white. So my top line is going to be red. So top line red. So this one's white. Okay, let's go with white. Yeah, I can't do it that way. Oh, didn't I say I was going to do my stars next? I guess not. Okay, so that one's going to be white. I feel like I did that a little crooked. Let's see. Yeah, see, that line is there for a reason. So let's follow that line better. Yeah, that's better. I might come back and do these again after, especially after we put in our red lines. The same way I'm going to touch up the stars a bit. Okay. Next is going to be red. Oh, shiza. So one way or another, I end up with a white line at the top or the bottom, eh? All right. I can't decide what I want to do about that. Do I want to just make the bottom one really thick? Yeah, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'm going to thicken this white line bit because it is thinned out, actually. Okay, I'm going to give those a little bit of time to dry before we go back in with the red. So let's do these stars a little bit. These embarrassments. Definitely something I'm going to practice is how to make stars without looking like a 5-year-old did it. That's an insult to 5-year-olds, actually, because I'm sure they could do a much better job than this. Oh, good. I made it worse. Good, 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 good. God. Okay. Oh, yeah, they're terrible. Just like really bad stars. Oh, well. The funny part is, I don't even know how I would get better at it other than trying to learn how to do it freehand, because I literally had things traced on here and I still made them horrible. Okay, let's do this big guy. Okay. You need to put a bunch of paint in here or else this is going to keep looking weird. Okay, hopefully that'll dry better. And I won't have to try to do this one more time because I'm making them worse and worse every time I touch them. Yeah, I made that one worse too. All right. This one's in bad shape. Okay. I think we're in good shape. I mean, they're mangled stars, but they're stars, right? You can tell it's a star. Okay. We are almost done. We have one thing, our red lines in here, and then I consider this done until tomorrow when I can erase all my lines and stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to be using Christmas red, which is a nice bright red. Nice and bright. Okay. Wish me luck. And we'll start at the top again. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to have to do a few passes on this red with the black underneath. Oh, it's challenging to see it. Or I just have to put a ton of paint. Yeah, I for sure need to just put a bunch of paint. Because if not, it pulls it and I end up with like a black line. I'm really glad I let the white lines dry a bit. But I think I'm going to have to clean them up a little bit too. Probably tomorrow. I'd like to let everything settle really well. And then what I'll do is, actually, we should talk about this anyway, in case you're dotting along with me, what the next step should be. So, oh, I totally just went over the white line there, but that's okay. So next steps are, once we're done, we are going to let this dry really, really well overnight, okay? So at minimum 4 hours, but I would highly recommend 12, 18, 24, whatever you can give it. You want to make sure your paint is super duper dry. And then you're going to start removing chalk lines. Now, chalk lines can be removed in a number of ways. You can use a damp Q-tip. I've seen some creators who use baby wipes. I personally like to use an eraser, like a basic eraser, like a pencil eraser. So that's what I'm going to be using. And a word of reminder to really don't sit down with your project and an eraser or a Q-tip and be like, okay, this is going to take 2 seconds and I'm done. No, it's going to take some time. Okay. It takes time to get rid of your chalk lines. They are stubborn and they're going to try to fight until the bitter end, and you have to be more stubborn. So a lot of patience and a little bit of time is all it's going to take. Why did I do that? Okay. Okay, last one. Oh, I had a spaz. Yeah, I'm for sure going to go back over these white lines, but probably tomorrow. I'll let this settle overnight. Then I'll erase all of my chalk pencil lines. And I will probably reline a lot of the white in this. What do you think? We're done. What do you think? It came out cool, right? Oh, I'm very pleased with this. I think this is going to look so cool on my wreath. So if you're interested in seeing that project, join me on Thursday night. We're going to be turning this into a decorative sign on top of a gorgeous full bubble wreath. It's going to be so much fun. I had a blast doing this with you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed this as well. So let's do a quick recap before we say our goodbyes. It's something I always like to do, just in case you're joining now. We got a 10-inch wood round from the dollar store, gave it a good coat of paint, of chalk paint, in fact, some black chalk paint. Then I put a nice coat of varnish, 2 thin coats, in fact, over top. That's the best way to preserve your background color. And then we outlined everything with a liner brush, a long, skinny brush. Let me show you. A long, skinny brush like that. We lined everything. Then we started dotting the inside with big dots, and we did 3 or 4 passes in each section to fill in more dots, more dots, more dots. We lined our eyes and everything and destroyed these stars. I don't want to talk about it. They're horrible stars. And all in all, we completed a gorgeous piece that is going to be a showstopper on my wreath. I can't wait to see how that turns out. So tomorrow morning, after this has dried really, really well, I am going to give it a good pass over with my eraser, get rid of all of the chalk lines, particularly in this one here where I have these stars that I just, all those chalk lines gone. At that point, then I'm going to probably like clean up a couple of lines that are a little and then I'm going to let it dry for another 4 to 8 hours. So I'm going to do that tomorrow morning. I'll let it dry during the day. And then in the evening, I'm going to come back and I'm going to put 2 coats of this varnish over top to protect my work. Because, guys, it took me 2.5 hours to make this, but tell me that's not freaking awesome. I think it came out so great. I'm super thrilled. I had a great time dot painting this with you tonight. If you're interested in learning more about dot painting, I have a ton of videos in this type of format where I did a live stream and now it's a replay. You can go through every single step by step with me, every single decision, all the agonizing. Or I have a bunch of other videos that are 5, 10, 15 minutes long. If you don't have a lot of time and you're just looking for a little bit of creative inspiration, check out my channel, all beginner friendly. All you can always do using home items, household items that are totally unrelated to dot painting. You can totally use them to make your dots and super simple. So if you're interested in learning more about dot painting, check out my channel and come back. We're going to keep dot painting together live. It's going to be a blast. I had so much fun. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. It really does help me out. And consider telling a friend who might be interested in learning dot painting. We'll have a lot of fun together here at the IHC Craft Room. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!